Oh, well hello viewer. I suppose you expected one of my two usual intros here. Well, I decided to forego that this time, and I just wanted to jump into things here. And to do that, we're going to jump to the end of this game and start our first look at Black Ops DS. Yeah, so it doesn't seem that long ago that I first met N-Space on a quiet afternoon. I looked through the listings of Call of Duty games that have been made and see a curious parcel in the usual crowd, Call of Duty 4 DS, and after reading about it and finding it wasn't some sort of port, I took it along with its console brothers to review. That proved to be a mistake, as my interest quickly died under the issues and complete lack of character or stakes in that game. But now that I'm on the other side of this journey, I've now found myself glad to be letting go of this developer. It was fun in the middle, but now you've made it tiresome and I'm now bitter, pissed, and let's just get to the review. Do you remember last week when we discussed Black Ops and found that the mystery plot was excellently executed and the gameplay was gritty and slightly more difficult to add to the atmosphere of the Screamy Man was trying to portray in his interrogation? Now, remembering that, would you say that N-Space could follow it up based on what we've seen of them so far? Of course not, but it damn well tried. The first major problem kicks us in the knackers about a second in, that we are playing as some maybe not member of Mason's Vietnam and Cuba squad from Black Ops attempted to explain to his superiors how everything went wrong. So, we've gone from brainwashing delusional flashbacks playing second fiddle to a personal revenge to a disciplinary meeting, and this framing device kills any sort of stakes the game has because we aren't being blamed for anything directly and there's no outrage from Corporal Dickhead as he asks us questions. The worst case scenario for Shaw is that he ends up getting the military equivalent of employee suspension for incompetence. The game starts out at its worst possible points, and some of the very first missions in the game are solo missions. Now, let me illustrate why that doesn't work with some cherry-picked clips. Ahem. In Black Ops DS, every character carries either an automatic weapon or a rifle that can take you down in 2 shots. Combine that with an AI that immediately shoots you perfectly 90% of the time at nearly every range possible, and the fact that N-Space's interpretation of Black Ops' edgy gameplay led them to give the player literally 5 seconds worth of regenerating health, and finally the removal of one of the best ways to avoid dying being your immortal allies, N-Space commits shooter developer blunder 3A by taking away one of the core mechanics one must have to be a competent shooter, the ability to retaliate. The only way that you can get through any firefights in this game is if you game the programming, walk incredibly slowly everywhere so that you don't hit all the flags at the same goddamn time and take out enemies singularly like any Dark Souls player, because dealing with multiple enemies at the same time doubles the chances that they'll get an automatic weapon lock and take your ass apart before you can finish half of your reloading animation. The absolute failure of N-Space's ability to balance its game is at its peak when you are going to retake the beach. People who have unfortunately played through this game already know what I'm talking about, but here's the cliff notes for you others out there. This mission involves you, alone, shooting an entire enemy battalion in order to free up space for an LZ. As you might have guessed, enemies would probably want more than one of themselves to be guarding its area when under attack. So throughout the next 3 minutes per attempt, you have to deal with multiple waves of enemies coming out to shoot your bollocks off because you move slightly to the right. This is already horrendously difficult by itself, to the point where I nearly punched my goddamn DS, but N-Space thought it would just liven things up so much more if they added in a scripted person in the back of the area who wields a motherfucking rocket launcher that can kill you with one-shot splash damage. I know what you're thinking. Why are you complaining? Obviously that level's the final one before you win. It's supposed to be hard. Well, you'd be ass-reamingly wrong there, hypothetical comment troller. This mission happens before the halfway point of the game, and that's just another giant glaring cyst of this game's medical problems. Black Ops DS's difficulty curve is so illogical that the hardest parts of the game are in the beginning and then fall down a cliff after the halfway point. If you punch the player in the face after they press the fucking start button, why the hell would they want to play it past the first hour? I'll admit it myself that after the taking of the goddamn beach, I was so pissed off at the actual game that the only reason I was still playing it was out of spite for end space, because I knew it wasn't going to change after that and only wanted to legitimize my disgusted outrage at a game where any enemy at any time can fuck up your entire session and send you back a whole 20 minutes, and it's laughable because this game without the taking of the beach would have been a 4-hour game. It's so slapdashedly put together that the only thing that's creating gameplay time is throwing your head into a wall an infinite number of times. I'd be surprised if more than 20% of this game's audience played past the first 2 hours, and even after I finished the bloody thing, I had no fucking clue what the hell was going on because the last mission has you blowing up a Russian sub. I assume it had something to do with the Nova 6 attacks, but they never told us that, so apparently this entire time we were just blowing crap up for the shits and giggles of the freaking army, and that's inexcusable. For once, you can't blame the DS for your dumbass narrative because the text boxes you have to do the story with Doom style could have been filled with a story concerning a sleeper cell using master hypnosis to fool the freaking army in order to shoot the president, but instead you filled it with the most boring garbage I've ever seen. And let's not forget that still, after 3 attempts, this game has terrible music design. You had it right in World at War DS. Why did you not do the same goddamn thing again? The adventure game segments in this game, which are usually really good and the highlight of every end space game, are even stupider as they range from the idiotic to borderline useless to the batshit insane. While I was doing the helicopter mission, I had no freaking idea what I was blowing up or who kept shooting me down exactly like the bombing run from their last game, since the camera whips around like a jack-in-the-box on a merry-go-round. This game is a cockeyed example of everything wrong with end space stemming from a single terrible interpretation of how they should make the game like Black Ops, which resulted in this putrid difficulty curve, shitty ass framing device, no explanation about what the player's doing, and combine that with end space's staple lack of animation, decent music, and flaggy programming leaves me with the first game in a long time that legitimately pissed me the fuck off. It's insipid, bordering on insulting to the player, and has a giant wall to new players for absolutely no reason. It's a shame, end space, this being our final game together, but it seems that we must part on the worst of terms since you decide to just bullshit the player at every fucking turn, and next time we'll be having a cathartic look at Treyarch's follow-up in Black Ops 2, where Mason will do something for a reason, probably against Dragovich. Maybe. But until then, I end this rage fest with the scoreboard for the game, and we'll move on with that classic tell of victory for gamers. See yas later.